Carbonneau does. Two of them. Ronan coming up there. Brunet carries in. Ronan in front of the net. Shot. Desjardins following the play, and he missed on the short side. Here he is again. Scores. Desjardins! And the Canadians win in overtime. His third goal of the game. And the series is a brand new one.
The Elias Makos Show on CJAD 800.
We pour one out this morning for the late Bob Cole. We found out yesterday that Bob Cole, legendary NHL broadcaster in this country, Hockey Night in Canada for so many years, passing away at the age of 90. And really it got me thinking about how things are changing, right? Times change. Bob Cole no longer on the air. You got to get used to new broadcasters. And ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, boy, big day. Not only did we hear of the death of Bob Cole, but there was another big announcement involving how hockey is broadcast in this country. Now, Rogers announced they have the big NHL deal, a 12-year deal. They have 2 years left on that deal. Rogers announced that they would sell off their Monday night package of hockey to Amazon. So those games now, those Monday night hockey games, will only be on Amazon Prime. And yup, you need a subscription. You need an Amazon Prime membership in order to watch it. Now listen, every few years or so, every decade or so, there's an innovation in broadcasting. Maybe this is just one of them. We've asked Brendan Kelly to join us on the program, Montreal Gazette columnist. You cover entertainment, you cover hockey, you cover it all, Brendan. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for the invite, Elias.
Now, you know, if people that listen to the show every day may recall, you were on a little while back, and we touched on this. I used a bit of my crystal ball, and I said, you know what's coming? The streamers are going to get hockey rights.
Well, this is where the whole industry is going, obviously, right? Like Fubo's got, if you want to watch the English Premier League, which is a huge deal in Canada, you got to go for the streamer. And, some of the teams in the U.S. have already got streaming deals, but this is the first exclusive deal for games, and I think this is a game-changing moment in broadcasting of hockey in Canada. Obviously, we live for hockey here, right? We're right in the midst of the playoffs, and by the way, just like wonderful clip of one of the greatest moments in Montreal Canadiens history, 1993, when Eric Desjardins scores in overtime in that crazy game, and Bob Cole doing the announcement, and sad day to find out about the death of Bob Cole yesterday. But, you think about that, Elias, back then in 1993 and, until, you're watching the games on CBC and, everyone's watching the games at the same time and in the same place. And it's gradually moved away from that, right? Firstly, the specialty channels came in, so most of us Canadiens fans, we watch on RDS because they've got all the Habs games and they're the home broadcasters, or you watch the regional games on TSN and you watch other games on Sportsnet. So gradually, you're moving to a place where you have to pay for them. Now, this takes it another step further because you know what? Like, I think myself, like most people, I hardly watch any broadcast television, but I'm a sports columnist. I've got my What the Puck column, and a huge Habs fan. So I've got Videotron cable just for the sports channels, and it costs an arm and a leg, as you know. And now, with this hybrid, Monday night, exclusive, if you want to watch in English NHL games on a Monday night, you got to get an Amazon Prime subscription.
Yeah.
But then for the other nights, you're still going to have your bloody Sportsnet subscription. So it seems to me this is the problem: is they're gouging us every which way.
Well, so here's the question, right? The question is the next 2 years, right? Because Amazon's dipping their toes in the pool right now.
Correct.
They just took that one day of the week from Rogers. When the whole contract comes up, what happens then, right?
Well, there's going to be a streaming component for sure. And to me, the big question, there was an exchange on Twitter this morning, and Ray Lalonde, who's like a marketing sports expert, he said, when the deal comes up, they'll pay more. But to me, is that deal that was signed in 2013, a 12-year deal from 2014 to 2026, Rogers paid $5.2 billion for that. Now, to me, just as an outsider, I have no inside information. I think they lost money on that. It's just too much money.
They did. So they lost boatloads, right?
And so did Quebecor, right? Like Quebecor paid $1 billion, Elias, for the French language rights to all of NHL games. And guess what? The Canadiens sucked for that whole entire time in terms of the playoffs. So Montrealers only watched the Habs. So they lost money too. And in fact, Pelodeau has openly speculated that he might close TVA Sports.
So I want to ask you how you view this, right? Because I think you could view this glass half full, glass half empty, right? Because you harken back to the day where we all went to the one channel. It was Hockey Night in Canada. It was only on CBC. We all watched it, right? And, now, yes, you're going to have all these streaming packages. You got to maybe get the Amazon plus the cable package plus maybe something else in a couple of years, right? But you have access to every game that has ever been done ever, right? So how do you view it? Do you think the hockey fan, the consumer, is a winner or a loser as things get more fragmented?
It's going to be wait and see how it all plays out. I mean, I think right now you're a loser because you have to pay so much. And you're going to have to, like, as I say, for next year, you'll probably have to, if you're a Leafs fan and you want to watch games on a Monday night, you got to have Prime, plus you got to have Sportsnet. Going forward, look, we're no longer in that Hockey Night in Canada universe, right? That's just come and gone, and it was a great thing, and we were all together at one moment. But we now live in a streaming world. I mean, you can't be blind to that. And you know what? I think the other thing, like the other side of the equation is those broadcasters, Hockey Night in Canada, Sportsnet, I find it kind of unbearable to watch much of the coverage. And I'll give you a good example. As I'm watching last night, Florida, Tampa Bay, and then I watched the end of the Islanders, Hurricanes. It's the American broadcast, so they're not even doing a Canadian broadcast. So the product is not great. So if the Amazon Primes, and I think that's a lot of people speculating about that, I'll be really curious to see the kind of product Amazon Prime brings on the air on those Monday nights. If it's more innovative, bring some more women into the broadcast, make it a little more like 2024, then maybe I'd be interested, because I feel that, Canadian broadcasting of sports, it's
Brendan,
not very innovative.
Brendan, can I just push back here for a second?
Sure.
The Rogers, how they've done the last 12 years. Look at the broadcast. They have brought diversity to the table, right? Carolyn Cameron and Cassie Campbell Pascal, who ended up doing such a good job. ESPN got her. Like, I don't know. I think that's the one thing that you can view on the 12-year Rogers thing, that they did okay.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair enough if you think back to prior to that. But I just find, and that's great. It's maybe just me, and I'm a bit of a contrarian. I find the broadcast not that exciting. I mean, you know what? Like most Habs fans, and I always say that, even English language Habs fans, I think we all watch RDS because that's the Habs channel, and they have all of the games up until, except for Saturday nights. And I think, honestly, the tandem of Pierre Hood and to me, Pierre Hood and Marc Denis, they do such a great job, because that's the other thing too, is that the national broadcasters are still based in, what city are they based in, Elias? They're based in Toronto,
of course.
And you know what? When I listen even to those TSN guys, when they're talking on the local station, they don't even know what's happening with the Habs. So that's another grumbling thing. But so I'm not opposed to the streaming thing. I think that, you know what? If it, like, for me personally, if it was all on streaming, right? Like if you had the option that I could get all the Habs games on streaming with the commentary, you know what? I would be able to cancel my cable, because obviously we watch our TV shows on Netflix and Crave and those things. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
So listen, Brendan, we got to leave it there. Next segment, perhaps, we're going to have to dive in how eventually this is going to affect local rights as well. This is a national deal. Eventually, Amazon may look at a deal with the Canadians the same way they have a deal with the New York Yankees for some games.
That's a super interesting question, because remember when Quebecor got the rights from Rogers, and it looked like they get all the rights, but the Habs control the regional games, which is actually most of the games. And of course, naturally enough, they sold that off to RDS, which is owned by Bell, which is minority owner of the Canadiens. So because you're seeing deals where the regional games go to streaming. So it'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out.
You can always read Brendan Kelly's wonderful words in the Montreal Gazette. Brendan, take care.
Thanks a lot, Elias.